Welcome back to another episode of Cheers to Beer Talk. I'm your host, Maalik Stark. And before we get into today's episode, I would like to thank the PLCB for making the show possible. And be sure to look out for new episodes every other Thursday, wherever you get podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, wherever you get podcasts. And without further ado, Jason Ufema from Shy Bear.
Yeah. Hey, Maalik, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. Hanging in there.
Good, man. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to do this again. Yeah, I went to the Hershey Market and had some beer that you all have, like in that, like you all have a stand there. So
Yeah.
It was fantastic, dude.
Nice.
Like, it was really, really, really good.
Appreciate it, man.
I'm a big fan of dark beers, so obviously I had your dark lager, and
Nice.
Yeah, man, that was really, really good. So
Yeah, you never want to say that we specialize in anything, but all of the darker beers, I don't know if it's something about the water chemistry we have here. It's they tend to just shine a little bit more than maybe some other styles, but that's a whole other topic, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, when did you all start Shy Bear?
Well, the concept of it started a long time ago, but the first real money that went into the engineering and outdoor moving of dirt and permits and everything like that started in 2015.
Okay.
We started selling, at least pre-selling our Bear Club memberships in 2017 and hope to have started or opened in early 2017, but it ended up being March of 18 until we actually were able to open the tap room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that whole, like, the thought process behind it has existed a while.
Yeah, I started working in big beer. I started working for Anheuser-Busch in 1996 for a little while, and then I worked for a small microbrewery in Charlotte, North Carolina in the late 90s, well before it was cool down there. It was selling ice to Eskimos. It was absolutely terrible, to be honest with you, back then. And now it's like Starbucks. There's a brewery on every corner in Charlotte in this day and age.
So you like saw like at least on the, I don't want to say like the East Coast in general, but at least the Southeast, like you saw craft beer become a thing pretty early.
I did. And I honestly, when working for Anheuser-Busch, it was the 96 Olympics. I was working in Atlanta, and I always tell this story to a lot of people who want to hear it. And maybe this is a perfect time to tell the story, but August Bush IV comes in with wants to meet everybody. And when he walks in the room, everybody just stopped. And you have to admit, and for everybody who doesn't know what beer was like in the late 90s, Budweiser was clearly running the world's beer supply and the vibe. All of the advertising, everything that they were doing, that was probably the pinnacle of big beer. And at least American-wise. And so he walked in the room, and there was an entourage. It was almost like James Brown walking into the concert area. But it was he had the revelry of like the bosses here, and then the photographers and the entourage. They're all there, and then everybody dissipates. And he said, "Hey, I want to," like his key person, and says, "I'd like to meet with all of the managers, and I'd like to buy him a beer." Chat with them, seeing what they, saying the right things. Mm-hmm. And everybody disappears, and we go behind this curtain, and they bring out this chest of beers. And in that chest, we open it up, and there's Bud Light, Bud Heavy, Bud Ice back then, Michelob, before Ultra, just regular old Michelob. And then in the very back right corner, there was this strange dark liquid and they had just recently made the acquisition of Red Hook Brewing, and inside of that was their flagship at that time was their ESB. And they pulled out, and he looks at us and says, "What will you have?" And I said, "Sir, I will honestly have whatever it is you're having." And of all of the options, he grabs 3 ESBs, cracks them open. My buddy and I and he and we clink, cheers, and drink. And at the time, it was like a lightning bolt that hit me. Like, this guy is out of the entire portfolio of the beers that he could be drinking and wanting to be all Budweiser, he picked something that was interesting, something that he hadn't really had a whole lot of. He was experimenting. Obviously, everything about craft beer that exists today is what is in the microcosm is what that decision was for him. And it just kind of hit me at that particular point that this is here to stay. If this guy publicly is having the choice to have an ESB over a Bud Heavy, I kind of saw where the industry was going at the time.
I mean, with that knowledge, do you feel like it's staying more like that now, or is it shifting again? Like,
I think it's shifting again. Personally, I think that the concept of what we drink, I think as a whole, me personally, I think for the industry, without trying to recreate hazy IPA all over again, we need to have solidarity on what we decide to be the things that are making craft beer interesting outside of considering locality or freshness or all of the things that people want to say is the reason why people drink craft beer. I think you have to be we still have to go back to the concepts of exactly why do people like beer to begin with. And some of that is over the fact that sometimes you just want something crisp and not lingering. You want something that is going to hit the nerve. But the challenge, as we all face, is how do we compete with pricing of big beer at scale? How can we possibly try to sell lagers and compete with the tried and true processes that big beer has in regards to R&D departments and analyzers for every can that goes out. There's a lot to compete with, but I think we at least what I can say from Shy Bear's standpoint is that we are competing with ourselves more than I feel that we compete with anybody. We just try to get better. We try to get better with every brew that we make, every hire we make, every dish that we make in the kitchen. Everything is about just getting better than the last time. So if that's the goal, then I think that's the only barometer we can really deal with right now, and just hope that it equates to people wanting to buy our beer while being more expensive than your traditional 6-pack shop or distributor. Yeah. You find the niche and try to bank on the idea that you're just going to get people who want to have the beer, but it may not be the Monday through Sunday option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that earlier this week, that good beer is good beer. Like, everybody has like their favorites and they're easy to drinks and all of that, like what they find easy. But if you want a good beer, if you make a good one, like I don't think there's a whole lot that can stop people from wanting to have that.
No, I think people will end up, despite where everyone's dollars are getting pinched right now. But I think that you find the right moment and you find the right time and how you market beers. And 0 Day markets beer wonderfully. The idea is the same thing, is you have to have the right fit for the clientele, and some of it is also remembering their time when they're here. Some people I know have beers of ours that they just can't stand to open the last one, and it just sits in the fridge and looks at them, and they just say, I can't do it because this is one of my favorite beers and I just can't possibly open. And they tell me that, and I kind of like it that way because it's almost a reminder, hey, I got to get back to Shy Bear at some point. Yeah. So maybe I should maybe I just try to market that a little bit more. Right. Give them an incentive to not open that last one. But
Yeah. Like, don't let this be your last one. Like,
right,
yeah, that'd be
right,
great.
yeah.
And you all are in so many different places too, right? If I'm not mistaken, I saw that you all are in DC. Am I right about that? Or at least,
We did. I mean, we had a particular kind of thing that it was a podcast that I listened to, the Tony Kornheiser show. There's 1,000 inside jokes in that show, and so the concept was I came out with a particular beer that well, I've come out with two at this point, and a potential third that is in reference to the show. And there's a particular place in DC that they always reference in the show, and it's this liquor store that won it, and I named it after the cheese counter at this store, which is one of the inside jokes. And so I created a La Cheeserie beer that was sold at the place where the La Cheeserie was founded. And it makes no sense unless you know the story. So I won't even begin to bother or bore the people watching this. But it just came to be that it would make sense if we just delivered right there and did a
yeah.
little thing with it. But yeah, it made sense to me, and the small amount of littles out there.
I think that's sick though, because even people have that down there and then like come up, they're like, where do we have that beer from? Who made that? So like, there you go. That's even more traffic there just based on that. I've definitely gone further for beer myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, it one thing with the beer, but I'll tell you, it's crazy to see all the places that where we see our merch. My wife and I were in the Denver airport one time, and we walked past somebody with a Shy Bear hat on,
Really?
and yeah, it's just that those are the kind of cool moments that you look back on it and just, so how in the hell did that happen? But that our little bear icon has definitely found its way through all kinds of different areas, one way or the other, through merch sales, which luckily is another avenue for us of sales.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool logo. One of the first stickers I put on my laptop for the Shy Bear sticker.
Nice, cool.
And whenever I was having a beer at your stand in the Hershey Market, I had to buy a T-shirt, and I wore it on stage a couple of weeks ago doing stand-up. So like, I'm a big fan of it.
Nice.
How did that come about? Like, was that a part of it? Like, did that idea of like that logo, because that's iconic at this point.
It was, and honestly, it kind of came out of. I've always been. I do our graphic design, and I've always had the idea of how I wanted a logo to look like when we got to the point of when we decided on a name. Coming to the name was very difficult, but by the time we got to it, it just clicked in my mind of what I wanted something to be. Very had a positive and a negative appeal depending on the color of the background. I mean, just knowing that I wanted to come out with I wanted a logo that was playful, but yet could work in reverse, no matter if it was a reflection, that it was balanced, I guess, if lack of a better term, with the idea that it wasn't pinned in by lettering or historical reference or geographical boundary. It was something that I wanted to have personality, but yet somewhat safe in a world where many people are offended by 1,000 things a day. We just tried to find something that, number one, in a name that people could spell, wasn't already taken. The website wouldn't take you to some random porn site or 1,000 other options that were, that you could find out there. So we found a niche, and when we landed on Shy Bear and the imagery in my head came about, I drew a pretty crude version of the illustration. And then my cousin is a professional illustrator, and he basically cleaned it up into a second version, and then I took his version, and then I ended up making it what it is today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great logo, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
And it's as far as you all are in Lewistown.
Yeah. Lewiston.
Are you? Did you? I don't want to say grew up there, but is that like was that the home area, and you were just like I want to put this here, like
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
We had the space for it. My father, his childhood home is just at the south portion of our property. And it, he kind of grew up here until he went to college. Came back, started a few different businesses. He was in background music first after college, and then he started Rich Coast Coffee in 1978, well before coffee was as prolific as it is in, in today's world.
yeah,
So that steadily just became more successful over time, and it kind of grew our footprint for Rich Coast. And in the process, the land development of everything that included this campus ended up becoming 32 acres with acquisitions. And so we have a large campus that operates where our home is, where where Shy Bear is under or below the house in our basically in our front yard, and across the street is Rich Coast. So between those businesses and a few other things, it kind of felt like this was the right use of the space instead of a wholesale coffee distributor where nobody would physically see the land that we have. It just felt like we were so close off the highway. We have natural gas. We have great internet. We have a lot of things that other rural communities don't have. So
yeah.
because of that infrastructure and the logistics of the timing, it's when we decided to do it. Unfortunately, I wish we would have done it when we originally planned. In the late aughts was when we originally had the plan of moving forward, and but hindsight being 2020, it's
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
That's awesome, man. I'm sure you've heard this a dozen times that like people. I've heard it whenever I was telling people that I was going to be talking the other day. It's like, oh, I always mean to go there
Yeah,
on my way to state college, but
always.
forget or it's closed by the time. Like I, for people who aren't as lazy as me and my friends, I'm sure like traffic is flowing on like game days up there.
It is.
Like,
But it also is a double-edged sword with game days in that, especially bigger games, you just want to get to state college sometimes. So
mm-hmm.
it's sometimes it's a hurry up and wait scenario. You just want
Yeah,
to get there, so you don't want to get stuck in more traffic. So stopping in, you never know what you're going to face. So sometimes you almost want to just get into town and then make your decisions of what you're going to do. And then obviously with the tailgate culture, you
mm-hmm.
want to get there and enjoy your $150 parking for what for everything it's going to give you.
Yeah.
But the whole weekend, quite honestly, is what we look forward to. The 12 o'clock game is always what we look forward to. Because we're definitely going to get business the night before. We're going to get business on Saturday night and on Sundays. The 3:30 game on Saturday is the absolute worst. We're not getting people before or after the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't feel the need to come in on Friday nights, so they can just drive straight to the game early morning, and then they go home. So it's yeah. If anybody from Penn State scheduling or is watching this, please, no 3:30 games.
Yeah, 12 noon games all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
all the time, all day, and the night games are okay. Um, you're going to get people for lunch, but obviously we'd rather get them coming for dinner and relaxing and not feeling like they're rushed to get out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But the Friday nights are great. The Sunday brunches and people lazily making a weekend of it, and then they stop in and they're relaxed. It's good. I mean, and I preface that a few times, and then that's really the key here. Customers who come to Shy Bear with no real plan for their day tend to enjoy it 1,000 times more than the ones who have a little bit more structure to everything. And it's not because it takes a long time to serve or anything like that here. It's more about soaking in the entire experience. If it's music, if it's the ambiance, if just the summer winds coming through the valley. I mean, it really is something that you almost have to bathe in it to really appreciate it. And that's when we find the people who are just overwhelmed with the expectation. And being in Lewistown gives us the option of setting a particular bar that I think we try to overachieve on. There's an expectation bar, and I think most people think they're going to come to this part of Pennsylvania and not expect what they get. They're not expecting the quality of the beer. They're not expecting the diversity of the food, I guess the overall concept of what they see and what they experience. So that's, I think we kind of hit people over the head with how is this here? And why isn't this where I live? So that's I would say what we specialize in trying to provide for anybody that comes for the first time.
Sweet. Before I let you go, is there where can people find and try your beer? I know I brought up Hershey, and I know where else are you all outside of Lewistown? And obviously,
just
like
farmers markets right now. Yeah, summer farmers markets, Camp Hill every other Tuesday, and downtown that's called the Market on Market every other Tuesday. We were just there last night, so it'll be a couple weeks from now. And then Pine Grove Mills outside of State College, we do their farmers market every Thursday.
Sweet.
But those will end in the fall, and then we just hit the occasional pop up every now and then. Soma will be at Soma downtown. Soma's block party end of this month, and we're doing another thing there in the old Brico in October. We're doing food and beer for the Third and the Berg for them.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully people can pop in and get a full idea of what we do. Especially this is kind of nice because it'll be the first time we're doing a food and beer thing down there. So looking forward to it.
Got to make sure to bring plenty of merch when you come down here also.
I will. We'll do.
Well, I won't hold you up any longer. Thanks so much again for doing this.
Yeah.
And thanks everybody for listening to this episode. Look out for every new episodes every other Thursday, and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Great.
See you, man. Cheers.
Thanks, man. Yeah. See ya.